Hi, everybody. Today, I'm so honored to be talking with my pseudo dad. I call Larry Gilman my pseudo dad. I work with him with Mastery and the Next Level workshops, which he conducted. But maybe, Larry, you can give him a little bit of background about you and how they contact you before I forget that at the end of the interview.
Okay, great. I'll do it at the front and the end. Okay, great. Thank you for having me, and it is so great to see you. It's been such a long time, and my goodness, for those of you that know Lourdes presently, I know her from a while ago, and she's grown up into this amazing woman and mom, and still beautiful and sunny, and it's really wonderful to see you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Well, I did a lot of things when I was younger. So I was pre-med, I became a licensed emergency medic. I was always interested in the person, helping the person immediately right with there. I started acting, so I was off Broadway, on Broadway, did regional theater, did movies, television, made my living as an actor, and then directing for over 17 years. Won awards, blah, blah, blah. And then I was always interested in self-expression. And part of when I was an actor, I ran into the course, The Mastery. And I took it in 78 and then got trained for 3 years because this course, and I've done big courses with thousands of people and small courses here. This one, for me, honors the individual the most. That you can't hide, that everybody's voice needs to be able to be heard, that you get seen and heard in a brand new way. So for some people, maybe for the first time ever. And so then in 1982, I started leading, like I said, after being trained for 3 years, and have been leading since 1982 and have led more workshops in the mastery realm than anybody else in the world, including the creator. And so now I do mastery workshop in Los Angeles, Vancouver. I've done it in Toronto, Montreal, Halifax, smaller towns all across the United States, Japan and Tokyo, Bangkok and Thailand, Taipei and Taiwan, in Sydney, Australia, in New Zealand, in Auckland, in England, outside of Bristol. So I've been all around the world, and now I also lead leadership workshops in all of those places and something called a practicum. So a number of workshops where we keep peeling layers that more and more of the individual can come out. So I think I'm a good model to model after, but what's most important is that people make the words their own, because then their authenticity, what it really means out of their experience, their innate wisdom, really has a chance to come out. And then that way people get to, because I want the work to go beyond me, that way they get to own the material, and people then both have an experience of themselves and also that they can trust that person. So I do that, and then I still have gone back to acting. I still do corporate work, mostly on the C-level, working with people about their self-expression, sense of internal, external presentations, how to talk to the media, how to craft speeches or workshops or team building with them. And then I started a vineyard 7 years ago where everybody thought I was nuts. Do you know anything about this? And I said, no, but here's what I need to do. I need to build one step first to provide access. Well, it turned out to be many, many, many steps. Had to go through rock, but that's what there is, a step by step. How do you create it? Well, you do this. You have the perspective, but then the detail of what do I need to do to create that to happen?
Right.
Yeah. And so then that was step by step, and once you did, okay, clear the hill, great, chipped everything, put everything back. Then next step, ran water. So step by step. And now I have award-winning wines. It's a small boutique vineyard, about 431 plants planted, and 425 have survived. We're going to replant this year. And then we do about, on a good year, about 900 bottles.
Wow.
And bad year like last year because it never got warm enough for them to fertilize, about 450.
That's
But,
amazing.
and the wine has turned out, thank goodness, it's turned out to be way beyond anything I ever expected, probably because the hill was composting itself for about 75 years.
Wow.
And if you want to find out about me, it's www.themasteryworkshops.com or mandevillevineyards.com. We will have a link for them and you'll find out about me. But I'm still doing the workshops as soon as we get through this experience of the control in our lives has been taken out of our hands. And most people I know have tried to, what can I control? And they've tried to control that, which includes their emotions. It includes their thought process. It includes their sense of, is my life my own? And then what I've experienced a lot is people trying to negotiate the reality. They don't want to feel the feelings. They don't want to get the reality. They don't want to get that. If you get it, you can die.
Right.
So all the people here in the United States that say, there's nothing to it, I don't know, and they want to be carefree and they just want to jump back. Well, since they've discovered so much of the virus can be carried by asymptomatic people, they don't want to be responsible for if they get sick. So if they get sick, they want us to take care of it. I think you want to be carefree. You want to just blow it off, not be socially distant. You don't want to wear a mask. All the things that will, even if they don't protect you, they protect me, they protect you, a mom, you don't want to do that. You just sign a waiver.
Right.
This is my idea. You sign a waiver, which means I am responsible now for the consequences. So if I get it, you don't get to, I am letting go of treatment because they want to have their behavior, but if they get sick, they want to be taken care of by our tax dollars. Yeah. So for me, it's, no, you got to be like in mastery. You got to be conscious, you got to be present, and you've got to learn about responsibility.
Right.
And where they try to negotiate realities. I don't want to be responsible for you. Nobody told me that. I had to be. And so they don't want to get conscious. And certainly with our leadership.
That's not only different discussion.
Don't even go there. Don't even go there. But it's why I mostly object, forget about the person, is it seems like they're okay with numbers as if they're acceptable losses, and they forget they're human beings that are dying. And they could have prevented it. And there's blood on their hands. That's my opinion. But because they didn't act before, it's because they refused to act, because they refused to see the reality. They didn't like the reality, so they said, I will pretend like it doesn't exist. People have died. And we've gotten into this crisis probably worse than it would have hit anyway. It's a virus. But we could have saved a lot of lives. We could have saved a lot of the economy. We could have saved a lot of the mental, emotional, intellectual stress. Right. We could have taken care of people. And we missed that on an individual basis. And we certainly are missing it, I think, on a governmental basis. Some governments have done better than others. Right. But it's us, it's our lives.
Yeah. I love the way that you phrased about, when we did in the mastery, be conscious, be present, and be responsible. But also at the same time, when you were talking about owning the emotions and the feelings. And I think the pandemic has brought that to a level that's never been seen before, because now it's on the spotlight that after the denial, if someone's not believing in it, then they just have to face that, oh, this is actually really happening. Now what do I do here?
Yes. And many of the Zoom calls that I've been doing with the groups, because I've stayed in contact with all the different groups, is most of us think we have to figure it out and we have to be on top of it. And so the work that we do on Zoom, and it's with 99.5% of it is with people I've already worked with, um, is to allow them to express without having it under control, without justifying, without defending, that there's so much going on. Loss of control, for some people, hopelessness, anxiety, fear, overwhelm. Some have cut off.
Right.
Um, there's some people who only want to look at the positive. They don't want to feel the fear, the other big emotions, because they already have a sense they get lost in it. It's too much. And so I provide a very safe place for people to actually express into. And we did one where we got to just scream, just people just like, it doesn't matter, just you don't have to
Breathe.
yes, and defend it or justify, just let go. The loss of life is in the sense of what we know it, and then just to be able to come from your heart, because that already includes your innate wisdom. It all already includes your experience of your life. You don't have to think of it, because
Yeah.
when people go up here, they divorce themselves from here. And I want people connected. I mean, really connected, to see what they're saying landing, to see that other people are actually listening. They don't have to figure it out. It can be that discovery. And this has put the world into a place of discovery.
For sure.
And you see a lot of people are lost. They want to go back to what they knew. They
Right.
don't want to be on that boat day after day going, I'm looking for land, but I don't see it. I'm looking for land, but I don't see it. Am I okay? Am I lost? Are we scared? Are we going to die?
Yeah.
That's what's going on. And it's amazing how people start to reclaim and reconnect and reflect with themselves, to look at what the life they had. And this has given us a chance, is what is the life you want to have?
Right.
That by choice, by, everybody was in this rat race of go, 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 and a couple of people who branched off. But now it's, wait, what do I want to include in my life? What am I rushing to? Where am I going? What about this connection with each other?
Right.
Who do I care about? Why have I let that go?
Yeah.
Who's important to me? Who's going to be there for me?
It's totally brought people back to what matters, I guess, which is kind of it's a good result of what happened. Well, I have a question. So
Sure.
my parents are still in the Philippines, and interestingly, I was not even thinking about them before we came back on a rescue flight from Mexico. But the moment that I came back, I called them, and I had no idea how serious it was in Asia. They were
Yeah.
actually more strict, and my dad has to bike, I don't know how far. Normally you take a jeepney, which was the public transportation there, for an hour and a half for traffic, but because of the lockdown, he has to use his bike to go to a bank because he didn't have money in the house. So luckily I was able to send electronically in a place where he can access it. But we are talking about sometimes, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, wherein, we have the emotions, the feelings, but a lot of people are still in the lower level of the hierarchy, wherein it's really survival. And I mean, even in North America, people were talking about the survival level, but mostly about, mental health and whatnot. What can you say? Because I know you're working from Asia too. So
Yeah.
of the people on this, just on the survival instinct, what can you tell them?
Well, I think this is a wake-up call for a lot of people. When I was very, very young, what I would do, because I gravitated toward this philosophy of, if I'm working, who am I working for? Well, if I'm working for myself, then I need to take care of myself in the long run. So even after a paycheck, I had the taxes taken out and all that stuff, I would still always pay myself 10% in cash.
Right.
And I would essentially do the philosophy of the bank. The bank is a magnet for money. It says, the more money you have, the more it has energy and creates, because people put the energy into what the money means.
Right.
So on the survival level, you have to take care of your eating, your shelter first, and then your clothing. After that, most people think, well, I've done this, I deserve something. And they look at, if I save money, I'm at sacrifice. So they don't have a long-term perspective. You don't have to save a huge amount. It's literally, it was 10%. And at first I thought, oh my God, but I'm using almost every penny. And I found out I actually wasn't. I could not only survive, I could still live okay having that 10% taken out because I got used to it. And there are certain things I said, okay, I'm going to do this because in the future, I want to make sure I can take care of myself. And we forgot about that.
Right.
So even if it's a couple of dollars, when I was doing it, and I was amazed at the end of the year by doing it every week, how much money I actually had.
Right.
And all of a sudden it was, if I can do this with this, money's my friend. Money is a way to get what I want, but I can do it slowly. I don't have to go lottery. I don't have to get, these get rich things. Why? I want to be able to work. I want to be able to function way, way, way into my life. So I had this perspective. And then it became like, wow, the universe, if I take care of myself, the universe supports me. And I think that's where people have this sense of there's not a lot. There's
Right.
not an abundance. There's a scarcity, and they operate out of scarcity, which is, if you think about 90% of lottery winners within a year, they are back or less than what they had then when they won that money,
Right.
because they never were taught how to be responsible for that much money. They were only taught how to be responsible for this much money they were used to. So in a year, they said, that's what I'm willing to be responsible for.
Right.
And it's so that sense of scarcity, it's okay, if I had nothing and now I have this is more than nothing. Okay, maybe I can be grateful for this. And I can also, at the same time, look to next week or next month. What do I want to have that's just a little more?
Right.
Then I can be grateful for that. And it gives us and gives people who are on the lower echelon a chance to start being responsible again, able to respond, not try to negotiate reality, not try to deny reality, which I think we've been taught very well. If I deny it, I can pretend like it doesn't exist, and then I can become a victim of my circumstances.
Right. And it's interesting that you came to that because it's still along the same lines of being conscious, being present, and being
Yes,
responsible.
yes. I mean, the woman she's like part of our family, but our housekeeper, and we know her kids and all of that. She walked to the United States from El Salvador. She walked and went through every country, all as a woman, all the things that she had to face all by herself, the fear, all that. And she got here, and then she found a way to make money. She paid for her kids to come back. They have a home. She found out how able she was.
Right.
And most people who are victims, there's some that there's things that go on with them that will never affect us, that I think those of us who have some money, we are responsible for them because they're part of our society.
Right.
And I think I had heard once that one of the reasons to make more money is so you can give more money away.
Oh, I like that.
You know, that's a great reason to make more money. So you have the ability to give more away to those people who are, and even as is less fortunate, they don't have either the wherewithal here, they don't have the wherewithal physically, emotionally. They should be taken care of. That's a piece of us there, but the grace of whoever, go I. So I think if people can switch from being a victim to start being responsible, they start to let themselves have choice.
Right.
And when they have choice, they start to create their own life, being present in it. What do I have to do? Where am I in it here? And where do I want to go?
Yeah.
Which is a lot about leadership. Where am I? Can I see, have a perspective, have a vision for where I want to create? But the biggest thing is they start to realize I'm not a victim except my own. I am able. And most people tell you why they're not.
Right.
But they're very able to tell you why they're not, pretending not to be able.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Where you are, actually, we started phase 2 of this pandemic journey that we all are in. It started yesterday. So some of the businesses actually opened
Yeah.
yesterday. And people were excited. I was actually driving and I saw some of the people are being careless, like nothing happened, like everything is back. And so again, it goes back to all these, are they being conscious, present, and responsible? And you talked about that at the beginning of our interview, but can you say something, what maybe a forecast, and it may be just a perspective as well, of what would it look like once it's phase 3, or maybe we don't know what's going to happen if this phase 2 is actually going to get worse and what have you. So what's your
Yes.
thoughts on that?
Well, I think there's lessons that we're already there. You don't have to recreate the wheel. You know, the pandemics. I mean, we had SARS, MERS, Ebola, H1N1, the Spanish flu way back, the plague. There are things that we've learned that if we don't learn them, obviously the same thing happens again. I think now we have to, and this is where people have gotten very intolerant, have gotten into the fast food mentality. I want it now, and I don't have the patience. So if you look at long time ago, if I wrote a letter, I'd have to wait for you to get it, which may take a week. It should take a couple of days, maybe, write back and then send it back to me. So maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And we were like, we're okay with that. Okay. And now it's the immediacy of this that we have lost patience with and have gotten out of the practice of having not only compassion with technology, but compassion with selves for our own impatience to allow things to unfold, that it does take time. And that since we are flawed beings, we are making mistakes along the way, which is not bad if you have your attention on taking care of people, doing the right thing. Everybody, we can always make money. Countries can always make money. They'll always discover a way, maybe a brand new system, but we're geared for that. This is a little side thing. It's like anybody who complained about how much green energy would cost and what they had to redo to factories, manufacturing. The amazing thing is, and what people they keep saying, it's going to cost so much money. Every time they've done it, not only did they have the money, but they started making more money.
Right.
And they were taking care of the earth. Everything has a cost. You do something, there's a consequence. You don't do something, there's a consequence.
Right.
So you cannot get away from consequences.
Right.
And what to your question is, people are out there being careless. They do not want to be responsible. They have not been taught about consciousness, that it's not just you. Unfortunately, I think with our guy and with a little bit, it's all about me. And they've gotten out of community, of the people, by the people, for the people, of, by, and ultimately for the people.
Right.
And so we have to realize, even though the world has gotten bigger and we're not in every community, we are responsible for our community, starting with with ourselves, yes, but with then our families, our neighbors, our local community, our bigger community, the region, the state, the counties, and ultimately we're responsible for everyone in the world. And people don't want that. They don't like it. They think it as a burden. And as soon as you think of it as a burden, it's like, I'm not going there. I do not want to take the time, the patience
Right.
to learn this, and even when we were growing up, we never learned relationship 101. It was mostly out of our parents. If we were lucky enough to have a decent family, okay, great, we communicated. If we didn't, we creatively shut down to protect ourselves. Right decision. But then we never got to, okay, I protected myself, I made it. Now do I need it anymore?
Right.
And we don't have that consciousness to go, habit saved my life, I don't need it. Have a life vest, I'm in the water, I need this. I get to dry land, I don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
But people say you can take it off. No, you don't understand. This saved my life.
Right.
I'm not letting go of it, but you don't need it. They don't want to look at that. It doesn't take a lot of effort to be careful. It doesn't take but 3 seconds to do this. And now I've certainly taken care of me. I'm now conscious of like, oh, I have a part in this, but I've also taken care of you. And people, they don't even realize if they shout and protest, their droplets go even further.
Right.
And they just asymptomatic. I don't have it. I can tell you I don't have it. Well, I'm of the opinion, I don't want to hear people say I'm sorry after the fact when it could have been prevented before. But that takes consciousness.
Right.
And a lot of what we do now has really been training us how to go unconscious. Streaming television, the phones. I mean, even with the kids, that that they can't hold a conversation like this without looking at this.
Yeah.
This was supposed to connect us. Now it's a distraction, and it becomes, oh, somebody calls, I gotta get, why? I'm with you. I don't care. It'll take a message. I pay for that, by the way. And it works. It takes a message so I can call somebody back. So it's a whole shift, and I think that's what a huge amount of resistance is to being conscious,
Right.
especially since I learned how to become unconscious. And there's more of both, I think. There's more people really getting conscious, and there's more people having resistance.
Right.
Because as we learned in mastery, we'd rather be right than discover something new. We discover something new, it has a chance of invalidating how much we held on to this rightness idea, and not just our intellectual and our thoughts but also our emotional aspect around. So it's this tight web.
Yeah.
And to unravel it, it takes an act of will, an act of consciousness, and going. And the other thing is that what I really stress is it's baby steps. You don't have to take on and be responsible for the world. It's just open up, baby steps, see what you can be responsible, what you want to be responsible, what you're willing to be conscious about, and work from there to discover you're able to do that.
That's beautiful. So thank you very much for lending your precious time, and it's great. And
This is such a great excuse to see you again.
I know.
Can't believe it's been so long, and it's wow, mom and woman, it's like amazing.
Thank you, Larry. And go plug again how they're able to contact you.
Okay, so www.themasteryworkshops.com, or you can also connect with me on the www.Mandeville Vineyards, MANDEVILLE vineyards.com, and just send me a message, or info@Mandeville Vineyards or info@Mastery Workshops. Look it up on the webs, and I will get back to you. And it's all around the world. There are other people now leading it in their own style, but the reason I've allowed people giving permission, and my partner did also, is because their heart about taking care of people and giving them a chance to discover for themselves is in the right place. It's all about seeing.
So I'd like to end with both of us breathing because she taught me how to breathe.
Yes, we have to breathe and blow. It's
Yeah.
both the two. Some people are really good at sucking it and holding it, but it's really breathing in and then just letting go. Letting go.
Thank you very much, Larry.
Oh,
It's
love to
wonderful
you,
to see
your
you.
son, your husband, and so glad to see you again.
Thanks, Larry.
You're very welcome. Thank you.